Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is curriculum. We're going to talk about what some of those fears that many homeschool parents have, and can I create my own homeschool curriculum? Short answer is yes, but we're going to talk about how and how to go about doing that in this video. In the first part of this video, we're going to look at the legal framework that's going to shape whatever requirements that you have to have with your curriculum. We're going to go on and look at the benefits of creating your own. Why is it better to create your own? Third, we're going to kind of look at the step-by-step guide that can kind of go about doing that. Fourth, we're going to talk about incorporating mindset, because as you all who've been watching in my videos know by now, that's my passion and how important that is. Fifth, we're going to look at tips on how to evaluate curriculum and assess it as you're kind of moving through. And that is what we're going to be covering in this video. We have kind of mentioned in other videos this legal framework. So the repetition is important, so you really kind of get this, how important it is as a homeschool parent to really find out what the expectations are for your child to learn and what they need to know and demonstrate that they know. That's going to shape your curriculum, right? What you have to include in the teaching. There's certain years of math they have to include, science, reading, writing, right? Those sort of standards, you need to understand what's expected of them. So when you design your own curriculum, you can make sure that those components are in that curriculum that you're teaching them, those skills, those specific bodies of knowledge that they need to know. It's all going to be determined by your state legislatures, and you need to kind of check that out. Probably the greatest benefit that a parent has homeschooling is the ability to create their own curriculum. And when we're looking at this, we're talking about the curriculum, right? We're talking about the resources that you're going to use to help teach certain skills and bodies of knowledge, right? So there's knowledge and skills in both of them. So when you begin looking at what your goals are in the teaching, then you can begin to evaluate the different resources available to you. And you might like some resource and then go, oh, I could change this around. I could do this. I could maybe add this piece. We could incorporate this field trip. There's so much more flexibility that you have in the implementation of the curriculum. And sadly, in some districts and some states, the state says you need to teach this subject matter, and the district says you need to teach this subject matter by using this specific textbook, following this specific protocol, and that's what the teachers do, and it becomes very cookie cutter. You as a parent can take a look at some of these curriculum materials, look at your child, and then supplement, adapt, alter, use creative thinking, problem solving. That flexibility that you have is enormously beneficial for your child in developing, again, both the skills and the body of knowledge that they need to have. And now you're beginning to think about the curriculum as you want to have your child. So you want to look at the outcomes that you have and the age of your child, right? So are you beginning to homeschool now and your child's in middle school, upper elementary school? You're just starting when they're in high school? You're starting now at kindergarten, preschool. That's going to partly determine what you need to do, because there's different skill sets that they need to develop. So one of the first things you need to do, step one, is where is your child at and what skills do they currently have, and where you're trying to get them, right? So that's part of that goal thing, is evaluating their current skill set. It's also important to think in terms of what those skills are. So critical thinking really should be behind a whole lot of these things. But there's certain skills around learning to read, learning to structure your language. So if you think back again to the classical education, which I am a strong believer in, even at a young age, in developing grammar, logic, rhetoric. Those were skills that back in the day, they would be taught up to early teen years. And in more ancient times or even colonial times, you get done those years, you'd be ready to go to higher education. Became high school, but in many cases it was university, right? For some of the founding fathers, they were going to university as teenagers because they had developed the foundational thinking skills. Now, that is not necessarily the way your child is kind of wired to learn, but it is an important skill set for them to develop regardless, right? So there's this beginning to understand the need of your child, how the curriculum is going to help develop that need and that skill, then how you can adapt it as you progress, as they develop those skills and get older and older and go through to match up better their particular learning style. And that flexibility, that step of constant evaluation, seeing what the skills and the knowledge are that the curriculum materials, the resources that you're going to use, that you're going to put together on your own, that you're going to buy, how they all will play into that. And your ability to kind of research, put in that time, will kind of determine how much you go with the packaged stuff that you want to adapt and how much you will completely do from scratch. The next piece, again, is my passion, right? And that is incorporating mindset training into the curriculum. There's not a lot of canned programs out there for you to buy. There are some, and of course, we offer one that I obviously think is outstanding. But philosophically, it's things that you can do and begin to incorporate when you begin to understand what mindset is. And it's really about the beliefs students have in different areas of their life and different contextual relationships, right? So I talk a lot about developing the mindset of a champion. That's kind of the essence of what we do at Success Institutes. And it's something that as a parent you should be really thinking about. Now, the growth mindset is a global kind of concept, kind of this global mindset around education where you're going to be persevere in the face of setbacks, right? You're going to learn from the success of others. All of these kind of beliefs and important traits that you have, well, those are definitely embedded in this idea of a success mindset. But it's about trying to find those beliefs that your child does have. If they have this tendency to want to give up easy or get frustrated early at not getting the right answer and get kind of caught up in the emotion of that, those are patterns you want to interrupt and recognize. So learning how to interrupt those patterns and embed new suggestions, really beginning to focus on the effort the child's putting through, putting them in situations where they will meet frustration and helping them get through that initial frustration to find success is incredibly valuable. You can do that through physical exercise as well, right? That first barrier that kids often have in any sort of physical exercise is a mental barrier, not a physical barrier. So doing those sort of activities is going to help push new beliefs and break down limiting ones. And that's really what you want to be constantly looking at. Beliefs around building relationships, about family dynamics. What sort of beliefs are you passing on? What sort came to you through your parents? What are ones that you want? Oh, I don't know that I like that belief that we had as a family. I want to change that. And that happens. That's understandable. You need to be evaluating all those things. What about your beliefs around exercise and nutrition and about learning, about the ability to learn? The spirit of a champion. What are those beliefs around that? About finances and money. All these things, all these mindsets are going to be so incredibly important, not just success in high school, but in college and in life. And you really want to think about how you're going to go about instilling those in your child. So how do you go about evaluating curriculum, right? There's lots of curriculums out there. How do you evaluate the resources that you're finding online? It becomes a question that you want to ask yourself as you're looking at that resource. How is this resource going to help me teach this skill this body of knowledge. Maybe it's both. Maybe what you're teaching in history is both a body of knowledge and a skill set of being able to do their own research. So how is this resource going to help me do that, or these resources, right? Well, these resources, I'm going to be able to teach them to evaluate the validity of the resource. So I'm going to give them a bunch of resources. Some might be better than others, and I'm going to teach them how to evaluate those good resources. Those are the kind of questions that you want to ask yourself. How does this curriculum help develop those grammar skills, those logic skills, those skills in rhetoric, the writing and the oral discussion? How well do they do it? How well or easy can I adapt them? How much does it fit my style? How much does it actually contribute to the child being able to work independently and learn independently? These are the kinds of questions that you want to be asking yourself as you're looking at the resources. It's all about good questions. Look at process questions, how, more than necessarily what questions, all right? Body of a knowledge, you might need to have what questions. What is the knowledge this is actually teaching, right? What knowledge is it actually putting through? And that could be important in some context, particularly if you're concerned about some of the political nature that sometimes gets into some resources, right? Resources are not necessarily unbiased, so you want to be able to evaluate those, and it begins with how the questions you ask yourself of them. I invite you to check out our videos, subscribe to our channel, and please consider commenting. Share some curriculums that you've found, that you know of, that you've heard about. Ask some questions in there. Ask questions of anybody else who might be watching the video about the curriculum that they found that they like. But get engaged and try to engage the other viewers. And I'll see you in the next video.